You are already awake when the torches brighten. You are always already awake. The 4 a.m. sweep begins at the east staircase, same as every morning for longer than you care to calculate. Mrs. Norris moves ahead of you, her lamp-yellow eyes catching the last of the night before the castle decides to become itself again. The flagstones are cold through the soles of your boots. You know which ones are loose. You know which stretch of third-floor corridor carries sound from the portrait gallery, and which drafts mean a window has been left open by someone who had no business being near a window at this hour. You know this building the way you know your own pulse. The logbook is tucked under your arm, leather-bound, dense with 37 years of careful handwriting. Nobody asked you to keep it. That is precisely why you do. Official channels get ignored. Memories fade. But ink on parchment is permanent, and permanence is the only authority you have ever been able to manufacture for yourself. Tonight's entry is already written in your head. Trophy Corridor, 4:08 a.m., no disturbance. You will write it when you return. You write it every morning. You have written it, or some version of it, for as long as most of the teaching staff has been alive. The September 1st arrival undoes a week of your piece in under 4 hours. You stand at the edge of the entrance hall and watch them flood in, young and loud and already careless, trailing mud across the flags you had scrubbed that morning. By 9 in the evening, the feast is barely cold, and the tripwire you set near the trophy room, a thread of copper so fine it disappears against the stone, has already been triggered. You hear them before you see them. Footsteps, light and quick. Someone who doesn't know yet that the third step on the east stair answers differently, depending on how fast you take it. You round the corner. A glimpse. Untucked shirt, dark hair, gone. Mrs. Norris gives chase and loses them to a door that shouldn't open, and apparently does. You stand in the corridor alone, holding your lamp. You open the logbook to a fresh page. You write the date. You write unknown student. Trophy Corridor, 2104. You underline it once and close the book. The campaign begins. The weeks fill the pages fast. You stake out the mirror on the 4th floor for 4 consecutive nights before you catch 2 of them emerging from behind it, covered in something that smells like burnt caramel, laughing in that particular unguarded way that means they have no idea what they've done wrong and would not especially care if they did. You step into the lamplight. They scatter. Mrs. Norris gives chase. They are faster. You start mapping the patterns instead. Tuesdays, after astronomy. The 30 minutes following Quidditch practice, when every professor assumes someone else is keeping an eye on things. Friday evenings when Peeves is making enough noise near the astronomy tower to pull attention north, while something entirely different is happening south. You realize, against your will, and with considerable irritation, that these students operate with a level of coordination that would be impressive if it weren't illegal. 14 confirmed curfew violations in 6 weeks. 0 successful detentions. Professor Sprout reviews your most recent report and calls it to your face. A bit much, Argus. You file that reaction in a mental cabinet you have been filling for 3 decades. Then comes the night you almost have them. An overheard comment, a calculated position, and there they are. 3 students sharing one invisibility cloak that is several inches too short for the combined height of its occupants. You can see the shoes. 6 feet of incriminating footwear, right there on the flagstone, caught by lamplight. You announce yourself. The cloak drops for half a second, and you see their faces, bright with adrenaline, and one of them, the one in the middle, looks at you with an expression you were not prepared for. Not fear, not guilt, pity. It lasts less than a second. Then they are through a door that should not exist, and the corridor is empty again. You stand there holding Mrs. Norris, who has stopped trying to follow, and you write it in the logbook. You describe their faces with a level of detail that has nothing to do with any official report you have ever filed. You describe the expression on the middle one's face with the precision of someone trying to understand what they saw. You underline nothing. You close the book. The hidden room finds you, not the other way around. A passage you have never located in 37 years of sweeps, accessed by students who needed it. You push through a door that gives without resistance and stand in the threshold holding your lamp up. Cushions worn flat from regular use. Candles burned to their last half inch. Arranged in a rough circle by someone who was, even in hiding, taking care of the space. Empty bottles of something medicinal. A room that smells like wool and cold wax and long occupation. Someone has been coming here for months. Not to break anything, not to prank anyone, to survive something. You stand in the doorway, for a long time. Mrs. Norris sits on the threshold and does not move toward the exit. You write nothing. You leave the room and pull the door shut behind you, and you do not report it, and you do not let yourself examine why. The fireworks boy is your best chance and your worst outcome. You catch him mid-ignition, the apparatus already sparking gold against the stone outside the Great Hall, and you have him. Witnessed, documented, evidence in hand, Mrs. Norris as corroboration. You march him directly to Dumbledore's office and stand there while Dumbledore listens and looks at the firework and looks at the boy. Then Dumbledore looks at you with that expression, patient, warm, impossible to argue with, and suggests that what this young man needs is a conversation. He thanks you for your diligence. He sends you home. You stand outside the office door. Through the heavy wood, you hear the boy laugh at something. You walk back down the corridor, carrying the confiscated firework. It sparks once more in your palm, briefly, like a small apology. You put it in the cabinet. You label it in the logbook. You sit down. You go back to the hidden room with a better lamp and more time. You look carefully at what has been left, what has been made. Names scratched lightly into the stone near the baseboard. Not vandalism, more like signatures. People marking that they had been here, that here had mattered. One name stops you. A student you have written up 6 times this year. Your logbook describes them as a repeat offender, with no apparent regard for institutional authority and a probable influence on surrounding students. The name in the stone is scratched carefully, not carved deep the way someone angry writes, but pressed in gently, the way someone writes something they want to last, but are afraid to claim out loud. You read your own logbook entry about them on the walk back to your office. You read what you wrote. Then you look at the ceiling of the corridor, stone and torchlight, 37 years of the same ceiling, and you understand something you would prefer not to. Your logbook describes an exterior. The room describes an interior. They are not the same person. They are not even quite the same story. You submit the logbook anyway. The whole thing, formally, with a cover letter, making the case for independent disciplinary authority. McGonagall reads it across from you in silence. All of it. Taking real time. Then she sets it down and asks what you are hoping it will change. You have an answer prepared. You have rehearsed it. But sitting across from her with the logbook between you, 37 years of careful documentation, the answer will not come out the way you practiced. What you want is for the school to feel like it is yours too, and no disciplinary authority in the world produces that feeling. She does not dismiss the report. She keeps it. She tells you she'll review it. But the way she looks at you as you leave, not unkindly, which is almost worse, tells you that the review will change nothing material. The end of the year sweeps the castle nearly empty. You do the usual check for students who have lingered, for things left where they should not be. You find the student in the hidden room, alone, not hiding exactly, just sitting. They hold a letter, recent by the look of the parchment, and the letter has clearly done some damage. They look up when you push the door open. They do not run. Every trained instinct you have tells you to document this. Unauthorized location. After hours present. Open and closed. You stand in the doorway and you do not move. Ms. Norris crosses the room and sits beside them, the traitor, and you stand there holding your lamp and the logbook and 37 years of careful evidence. You ask, roughly, in the voice of someone who has not had much practice, if they are all right. They look at you the way people look at something they weren't expecting to find. You do not stay. You are not built for this, and you both know it. You tell them that curfew technically ended an hour ago, so there is nothing to report. You tell them the room locks from the inside if they press the 3rd stone left of the doorframe. You noticed it tonight. You leave. Walking back through the empty corridor, lamp in hand, Mrs. Norris quiet at your heel. You feel something unfamiliar settling in your chest. It takes until you reach your office to name it. You feel like you belong here, not because the castle has given you power, but because you have just done something for it, for someone inside it, that no one asked for and no one will ever know about. The logbook sits on the shelf next to 32 others, exactly like it. You pick up a new one. You write the date on the first page. You sit with it open and empty for a long time before you begin. The logbook you spent a year building ends on the last entry you did not write. The most important thing you ever did in this castle exists in no official record, was witnessed by no one of consequence, and will change nothing about your standing, or your authority, or the way the staff thinks of you. By every standard you have held yourself to for 37 years, tonight did not happen. The room is still unlocked. The page is still blank. Every institution has someone who knows the building better than anyone and is trusted with its maintenance, but never its meaning. The question worth sitting with is which side of that door you've spent your life standing on. If you want to see more, click the video